All right, so got about a day, almost 2 days left for people to apply to the Black Animation Entrepreneurs Program. Um, Hoping to get as many applications that as I can. If you don't get in this year, your name will be in the hat for consideration, or at least kind of put you on my radar. Um, so one day, 17 hours. Please apply if you're interested. Maybe there will be resources for those of you who don't get into the paid portion. Um, I'm really hoping that I can connect with other animators and other artists and show what I know and gather what they know. So I just wanted to make sure everyone's aware the program's still open for applications till the end of this month, which is in 2 days almost. So please apply. We look forward to connecting with as many of you as possible. There. Okay, so tonight we are animating at night. Welcome to Animating at Night with Nick Butler. We're animating in Maya. We're trying to get a feel for it. Maybe the full plan is to create 3D animated pieces for my portfolio to demonstrate my capabilities with animating in 3D. Found this rig that I like. I want to try some other rigs as well, but I've really been getting used to this one. It is the Baskar rig, made by one of the instructors at animation school, and I've been getting pretty decent with it. Mostly I'm using it as a means to better understand Maya's user interface, workflow, ins and outs, tools. Um, when you're transitioning from Maya to Blender, you're going to not only going to be in the process of understanding how to create, but also where things are and orientation. It's kind of like being an artist who has always drawn with colored pencils, and now you're switching to oil paint, and the oil paint, it's going to render the same way, and because you have those fundamental skills to draw with a pencil, you should be able to do something pretty decently with the paintbrush, but you're going to need to first understand how the paint is mixed, how you apply it to the canvas, how the canvas is prepared, how long it takes to dry. These are all factors that you didn't have to consider when you were using the colored pencils, but now it's something you need to keep in mind as you move into oil painting. So as a 2D animator, painting with 3D is great. There are some advantages, just like there are advantages to oil painting over color pencils, and there are some disadvantages. But one of the advantages is I don't have to draw. Once you have someone who's built you a pretty nice looking rig, you can get all the pieces in. So just beneath me on the screen is my 2D animated version of what I'm trying to replicate in 3D. I found that this process really works well for me. I just want to let you know that tonight we are only going for about 30 minutes. I notice I've been doing these really long and having you stick with me for long periods of time where I'm quiet and working, but I really wanted to sort of talk through what I've been learning here in Maya. And there's some features in Maya that I want to try out that I haven't quite gotten to yet. Mostly I've just been learning how to rotate the screen, which is Alt and the left mouse button, right mouse button, left mouse button. The pan is Alt and the middle mouse button, and zoom in, zoom out is Alt and the right mouse button. We have a couple of very valuable views that Blender artists are going to be familiar with as well. You've got your timeline down here that lets me scrub through my motion. And I've got the ever present, which I feel is much more, currently the way I animate it in Blender, the graph editor was something you did post making your animation. But what I'm finding is that it is an essential part of the whole animation process in Maya, and that I'm working primarily in the graph editor because I can cut and paste positions that I want to repeat into different areas. And I've been using that a lot, sometimes just as a base to get the hand or the feet or whatever into the right place, and then adjusting based on that. But the goal is to keep this graph clean as possible, smooth as possible. If it, if it's looking too chaotic, then there's something going on that's probably not going to feel right or look right. And so I've been really working with the graph editor, copying and moving my keyframes and adjusting those as needed. So in Blender, we've got move with G, I've got rotate with R, and I've got scale with S. Here in Maya, it's almost like a video game. So they've got the QWERTY. Oh man, wow! I just realized that. So it's the QWERTY keys, Q for the general selector. W is my move tool. E is rotate. R is scale. T is, I'm assuming, the last tool I used, and show manipulator. And then Y doesn't do anything. At least I can't tell that it does. All right. Plus and minus make my manipulator smaller or bigger. Spacebar gives me the magic menu, which is super helpful. I'll try not to say as much. But the spacebar gives me the magic menu where I can switch to my different views. This particular model is set up in a very strange way, whereas if I go to the back view, it gives me the side view that I want. It's all on how you build and orient your model. I'm also a little concerned with the way this particular model is set up to work with the various axes. I don't think it matches the axes, like they didn't model or build. But they might be setting up for a game engine, which is why it's configured in the way it is, and it's configured to meet the game's world space, but it's kind of confusing in terms of animating. I've been having some pretty good success, and as you can see, I've been trying to match the frames. So the way I've been going about this is I've been starting with frames 1 and 31. I learned a cool technique on a Blender tutorial where you make, because you're going to be making a loop, a run loop, you make the last and first frame the same, but the last frame is just outside of your time. So making a 30 frame per second animation or 30 frame loop, then my 31st frame is going to be repeated my first frame, and this gives me a way to sort of transition back into the first frame more smoothly. Spacebar to go into these different, the quad view, and let's animate. So first and last, did those first. Then I did the middle pose. This is my floor here, which right now his hand is going through it. And I'm still getting comfy with the keys, still trying to break my Blender habits, so sometimes I stutter when it comes to moving things. But his hand's going through my floor plane, but that's okay, because I think we're going to get it. We're roughing it out. So my plan, rough out 3 poses. I've got this run cycle I'm going to do. I have a walk cycle. Let's open that up. File. Open scene. Where did I save that? Is it on 2? I'm not going to save that. Nope. I think it might be Pascal 1. Open up scene 1, where we have our rough walk. Right? So we've got a rough walk, what's going to be my rough 1 run, and then we'll do a little bit more action pose where I'll set out an object and have him interact with it. Jump over it, push it, lift it, something like that to show that I can show that the character can interact with things. But really, these, I'm not trying to get too overly complex because I want to keep it simple, understand the mechanics, and really get that base understanding in my brain so when I'm ready to start working, I can work efficiently. So, all right, so let's go back to open scene, what I'm calling a quad run for now, and let's continue posing. So right now we've got, I work my way out. I do 1 through 15. 15 is the mid pose. See if I can capture it here. Pose 1, 2, 3. So mid, that's my mid pose there. And then I went through and then I did the mids between each of the poses there. So that's this pose approximately. And then, of course, the other mid, which is here, 23. Right? And I didn't quite push that. Maybe it's this one. It's this one. Right? And then in pose, which is essentially the first pose. So then now that we've got the mids broken down, we're going to go to the in-betweens of the in-betweens. So in between 7 and 1, I would say would be 3. I always put my key poses on the odd number because that is the first frame of a if you're animating on 2s, it's the first frame of a 2-frame set, right? So this is where I'm bringing 2D animation into 3D. And I'm sure 3D animators think about this as well, but first frame is on 1, second frame is on 3, next frame is on 5, right? So all those odds give me the 2s. And if I wanted to switch to 1s, then I just break down further. But animating on 2s in 3D means that the computer's going to fill in the other one. I don't have to draw it. So I'm still going to get 1s to some extent in 3D, but I'm going to be working in 2s. So what is happening in the in-between pose of the starting position, which is here. Let's make sure that that is our starting position. Oh, our starting position is actually this starting position. All right, and there's an in-between. So in between position 1 and 2, it's kind of a blur. And so if I jump to frame 3, I might already have kind of what I need. And because the computer's so great, we might not need to do anything. Except if we're trying to ease this in, we could probably push some things, really enhance some things. So between 1 and this is actually 0, so 3. So it's going to be kind of a quick motion, right? So we can probably, if we do have to do anything for 3, let's see here. My computer might have gotten this. Boop. Could probably push them up some. So, right, 3 is where we first start coming up. Lift the body. Alright, and go to my move tool. And another thing I've learned in Maya that I typically do in Blender is I usually grab the control handle in Blender, but what I'm finding in Maya is that if I use the handles here, then I don't get, it doesn't also move another plane. I'm sticking strictly to this specific motion path for this axis. Whereas in Blender, I can hit the place I want to move or the axis I want to move on, and then lock it to X, Y, or Z. So I hit rotate and then Z, and it rotates only on the Z axis. Here in Maya, because I haven't figured anything out like that, and if you know tips and tricks, please send them my way. But I like to use the slider over here in Maya. Oh, so I do have some stretch in his feet. So I might use that. So let's see, where were we? So the next breakdown is going to be 7. It's going to be that push. And with his hands, I really got to use another thing to remember is the auto posing is essential in Maya. Speed is something I'm working on. I mean, not that you have to be too fast, but I also don't want to be too slow either and stumbling on my various. I find rotation works better when you use the gizmo. It's a good rig. I like this rig. There's some things I would like to see different on it, but I didn't pay anything for it, so I'm not going to complain too much. And I know there are various other rigs, so yeah. But should we move this whole bit forward just a chunk, or should we move feedback? Let's tilt everything. Feet for, so it's 15. Nope, I don't think we're supposed to do that on 7. 7 was correctly posed. So 3. And then not 7, but 7, 13. 11. So here's where foot positions help. So I'm going to copy foot positions for that one, move it to 11, and paste. Yep. So now we're at the right level. We just need to move that back. So at some point we need alright, so down. These are pretty level. kind of ignoring my rule here on this one. All these frames are supposed to be on 19. The cool part is that on the graph editor, I can just select them and shift all of them one frame over. Oop. Is that crazy? Select all of them. G or G. E. R. Just zoom in. Shift. Boom. One frame over. So now they're on 19. Which I think they're supposed to be. Alright. This is all rough in. This is all block in. This is not. You're not going to get smooth animation the first go round, second go round, the third go round. Maybe if you're a super pro, but if you're watching this, you're probably not a super pro. I'm not a super pro. I want to be a super pro. I will be a super pro. But for now, we want to do what we can with what we've got. So let's move that knee control in there, elbow control. Which the controls are a little bit more distinct, but like I said, am not going to complain about this model or this rig. I personally like it. So before we move that back, we're going to go to 27, 28, 29, 23, yeah, 27. Oh, what's going on there? So it's like I said, it's getting there. It's, we got to get the tail waving and matching the animation as well, as well as some more upward and downward movement on the hindquarters. But I like the feet in position moving. That's it's looking good. So that's it for tonight. At least what I'm going to broadcast. I'll probably stay up and continue to work without all of you. But thank you everybody for tuning and watching and being there for the short period of time. I just want to continue streaming, even though some nights it's like, but yeah, getting the work in. 2D animating, 3D animating, storyboarding, doing all of it because I like to. All right. Have a good night. And remember, if you're interested, apply for BAE. Information is at turtledustmedia.com. Good night.